Hello, everyone. Namaste, and a very good evening to all of you. It is my great privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with all of you once again for our Instagram live session after a break. And I want to thank you all once again for joining us this evening for our Instagram live session. I hope you all are well, keeping safe, keeping healthy, doing well, in a good frame of mind. It's very important for all of us as we are slowly trying to come out of the mess created by the corona pandemic. It's important that we remain careful, alert, responsible, and do not take unnecessary risks in this time of crisis. But really hoping that you all are doing well and are keeping safe. It's once again, as I said, a great pleasure to be with all of you. And I thought today, this evening, I would talk to all of you about 7 sutras for mastery in any area of our life. In our relationships, we want deep bonding. In our professions, we want professional success. If we are students, we want academic excellence. All of us want financial prosperity. If we are interested in spirituality, we want spiritual depth and spiritual progress. We want to make sure that we are doing well, doesn't matter what area of life it is. So this evening, I'll talk to you about 7 sutras, 7 keys, 7 principles, 7 mantras that can be applied in any aspect of our life, in any area of our life, can assure us growth, success, and mastery. But before we begin, let's give a couple of shout outs to those who have joined us this evening. Shivani Raghuvanshi, Hare Krishna, Tiwari Pranshul, thank you for joining. Shubham Setia, very happy you're with us. Binay Adhikari, Shaurya, Navin Rajput Chauhan, Soma Mishra. So glad that you've taken your time out and are joining from wherever you are. Gautam Roy, thank you. Manasvi De, Pooja Jaiswal, Mohit, Balaji Patil, so grateful that you all have taken your time. Devil Underground, Madhav Lochap, Kapil Narang. I am so delighted. Krutikain, oh Hare Krishna, thank you again for joining. Kohli, 910, Rishu. Oh, I'm so grateful. Sarvesh Shashi, hello Sarvesh. So grateful that you joined. Hopefully we'll catch up after this session as well, Sarvesh. Sarvesh is a dear friend and thank you so much for joining, Sarvesh. Thank you again, all of you, for joining us. So 7 sutras to achieve mastery in any area of our life. Relationships, academics as students, professional excellence as professions, corporate professionals or businessmen or women. Right? Relationships, spirituality, personal fitness, doesn't matter. Whichever area, apply these 7. And I assure you, slowly yet steadily, you will be able to reach the aspired destination, your aspired dream, your aspired goal, the way you have in your minds and in your consciousness. So let's begin this evening with a very interesting story of a gentleman called Milo. Milo of Croton. Milo was a bodybuilder, a wrestler, a humongous Herculean hunk, extremely strong, from a small town called Croton in Italy. Now Milo had won several medals, had won several tournaments and championships, and he was a renowned wrestler and athlete. What was very special about Milo of Croton was the way he trained himself to reach where he was. Milo of Croton, when he was a young little boy, he saw a little calf, a male calf. Milo of Croton as a little boy would carry this calf on his shoulders to make himself strong. And he would move the calf from one shoulder to the other, different parts of his shoulder, so different muscles would be trained. When he started doing it, people around were kind of really amused. What kind of training methodology is this? And they were mocking him, they were laughing at him, they were criticizing him, they were saying all kinds of things about him. Milo kept going, day in, day out. Every single day, wherever he went, Milo would carry this little calf on his back on his shoulder. And in 4 years' time, as Milo grew, the little calf also grew to become a massive, huge ox. Milo was carrying on his shoulders this massive, humongous, huge ox wherever he went. He was known to be an extremely strong person in and around Croton in Italy. Now, a simple story, but this simple story has incredible lessons and sutras, 7 of them, to chalk out our trajectory, our journey in order to make progress. इन 7 सूत्रों से हम अपने जीवन में किसी भी क्षेत्र में, किसी भी एरिया में प्रगति कर सकते हैं, ऊपर उठ सकते हैं, आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. तो दोस्तों, stay in tune, friends, as we discuss the 7 lessons, the 7 sutras for success. The first one. When Milo started his journey, carrying this little calf on his shoulders, people were laughing at him. They were criticizing him. They were mocking him. They were talking all kinds of things. लोग तो ये करने ही वाले हैं. Anytime you do something which is out of box, non-mainstream, which is non-stereotypical, which is different, लोग कुछ न कुछ तो बोलेंगे ही. आप हट के कुछ भी कीजिए, आप अलग कुछ भी कीजिए, आप अगर अलग है या अलग कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो लोग कुछ न कुछ तो बोलने वाले हैं. कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, छोड़ो बेकार की बातों में कहीं बीत न जाए रहना. कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे. Guys, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे. People are going to say, you do it this way, they're going to say something. You do it that way, they're going to say something. कहते हैं ना हिंदी में, जानते हैं सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग. If there's one रोग, one disease inside, सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग. लोग तो कुछ ना कुछ कहने वाले. जी आप ऐसे कीजिए कहेंगे, वैसे कीजिए कहेंगे. अगर लोग क्या सोचेंगे ये भी आप ही सोचेंगे, तो वो क्या सोचेंगे. If you're going to think of what they think about you, what will they have to think? Leave something for them to think. Guys, remember the story of the donkey and the father and the son who were going with the donkey to the market. The father made the son sit on the donkey. गधे पे अपने बेटे को बैठाया. And people were watching. And people were saying to the son, how can you sit on this donkey? Look at your father, he's so old. He can barely walk and you are walking, shameless fellow. Come on, get down and make your father sit on the donkey. The son got down. The father sat on the donkey. और जैसे गधे के साथ आगे जा रहे थे तो लोग आके कहने लगे वो बूढ़े आदमी को, आपको शर्म नहीं आती सर? आपका छोटा बेटा है, उसको गधा खिंचा रहे, आप बैठ के ऊपर गधे पे राइड कर रहे. Come on, get down and allow your son to sit up on that donkey. Now the guys were confused. They are saying this, they are saying this. So both of them started walking with the empty donkey. And then people started saying, अरे गधा खा लिए, कोई उस पे कुछ बैठता क्यों नहीं. दोस्तों, आप जो भी करने जाइएगा, लोग हंसेंगे, निंदा करेंगे, कुछ तो कहेंगे. और अगर आपका जीवन, आपकी लाइफ, अगर आप लोगों के ओपिनियन से जीने लगे ना, तो हो गया. It's your life. It's your relationships. It's your career. It's your profession. It's your business. It's your marriage. It's your sexuality. It's your spirituality. It's your religion. It's your community. आपकी जिंदगी है. Don't go by what people think. They will laugh, they will mock, they will criticize, they will say something. Don't care a damn unless they are your well-wishers, they are trustworthy, and what they are trying to help you is constructive and for your welfare. अगर जो आपको कुछ फीडबैक दे रहे हैं, कुछ बोल रहे हैं, वो अगर आपके मेंटोर्स है, गुरु है, गाइड्स है, वेल-विशर्स है, आपकी अच्छाई के लिए कंस्ट्रक्टिव कुछ बोल रहे हैं, तो जरूर ध्यान दीजिए. अन्यथा छोड़िए जी. कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना. Milo did not bother Thankfully, in 6th century before Christ, when Milo of Croton was practicing his bodybuilding and strength building with a calf on his shoulders, thankfully there was no social media. Good Lord, if he had social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right, and Snapchat, LinkedIn, you can imagine the number of comments. कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे has gone to the power infinity, ad infinitum with social media. People can speak anything today about us. Don't worry. अगर हर व्यक्ति के सोशल मीडिया कमेंट से जाने लगोगे, कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. अगर हर व्यक्ति के हिसाब से अपना रिलेशनशिप, अपना करियर, अपना एकेडमिक्स, अपना जीवन जीने लगोगे, कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. And therefore, the first sutra to achieve mastery in whichever area of your life, remember, from Milo of Croton, do not bother about people's comments. Do not bother about what people say unless it's coming from well-wishers, guides, mentors who truly care for you, your welfare, and are giving you constructive feedback to actually move to the next level. Here is the second lesson or the second sutra from Milo of Croton. जानते हैं माइलो ने क्या किया? सबसे पहले ये सब बकवास जो बोल रहे थे, बकवास करने वाले लाखों लोग होते हैं दुनिया में. ये जो सब बकवास बोल रहे थे और बकवास कमेंट पास कर रहे थे, करने धरने के लिए काम धंधा कुछ है नहीं, बस बैठ के कमेंट करना. राइट, ऐसे कमेंट करने वालों की बात उसने नहीं सुनी और आप भी कृपया करके नहीं सुने. द सेकेंड थिंग, माइलो knew where he was, he knew what he had, and he knew what he could do. माइलो को तीन चीजें पता थी. He knew where he was. What was his situation? His situation was, as a boy he was weak and he wanted to go strong. Situation clear. Where you are in life currently is your situation. What you have, what are the resources you have, what are the opportunities you have, what are the facilities you have. Milo saw he had a calf. He didn't have any other thing. He didn't have a gym. He didn't have a trainer. He had a little calf. Milo saw he had a calf. He knew where his situation, he knew where he was, he knew what he had, and he knew what he could do. And that is ability. You need to know three things in your life. Number one, your situation, where you stand today and where you want to go. Number two, your resources. What are the things that you have? What are your facilities, opportunities that you have to reach where you want to go? And number three, you need to have an honest estimation and a clear evaluation of your abilities. What you could do. Milo knew he wanted to grow strong. He had this calf, male calf, and he was going to use it with his strength. Holding the calf. उस बछड़े को अपने कंधे पे उठाना माइलो के लिए पॉसिबल था, हालांकि थोड़ा ज्यादा भारी था बछड़ा. The calf was a little heavier, but he could hold it on his calf, on his shoulders. It was still within his capacity to do it. दोस्तों, in your life, try and be like Milo. Start from where you are, with what you have, with what you could do, and you will surely reach where you want to be. Don't wait for an ideal situation. Ideal परिस्थिति के लिए, आदर्श परिस्थिति के लिए रुकिए मत, तो कभी नहीं आती. जो आपके साथ है, जो आपके पास है, जो आज है, उससे शुरू कीजिए. Maybe it's small, maybe it's slow, but start. Don't wait. शुरू करने के लिए रुकिएगा नहीं. मंजिल मिलेगी भटक कर ही सही. मंजिल मिलेगी भटक कर ही सही. गुमराह तो वो है जो घर से निकले ही नहीं. गुमराह मत बनो जी. Start out from your home. Get out from your homes. Get out from where you are and start with what you have, with where you are, with what you can do. Milo, when he started, good Lord, his strength was building up. He got self-confidence. Confidence मिला. जानते हैं क्यों? क्योंकि अपनी कैपेसिटी के हिसाब से काम किया. अपनी कैपेसिटी के हिसाब से काम कीजिए, दूसरों के पास मत देखिए। दूसरों की कैपेसिटी अलग हो सकती है। दूसरों की लाइफ में आई ऑलवेज से राइट, डोंट ट्राई टू कॉपी अदर्स, बिकॉज व्हेन यू ट्राई टू कॉपी अदर्स you realize that in life everybody has a different question paper. हर एक का क्वेश्चन पेपर, हर एक की प्रश्न पत्रिका अलग है। इसीलिए दूसरों के देखकर दूसरों की कैपेसिटी के हिसाब से करने जाइएगा, उनको कॉपी करने जाइएगा, फेल हो जाएंगे। अपनी कैपेसिटी ढूंढिए, अपने रिसोर्सेज देखिए, आप कहां है देखिए और वहां से शुरू कीजिए। स्टार्ट फ्रॉम वेयर यू आर। गेस व्हाट, you will build strength, you will gain self-confidence because you started with things that are within your capacity. Doesn't matter how small, doesn't matter how slow, you are reaching towards your goal, you are reaching towards your destination. Which is why I always say, what's most important, more important than your skill is your will to do it. आपकी स्किल से ज्यादा आपकी विल बहुत जरूरी है। स्किल इज देयर बट यू हैव टू हैव द विल टू डू इट। रादर देन फोकसिंग सो मच ऑन द कांट, focus on the can. There will always be the can't. I can't do this. If you just focus on the can'ts, you're depressed. When you focus on the can, you're energized, invigorated, charged up to move towards your destination. So like Milo, remember what you have, where you are, and what you can do without looking at others, and start the process now in your relationships, in your fitness, in your spirituality. Doesn't matter what. Start now with where you are, with what you have, and what you can do, and you'll be able to reach where you want to be. So the first two lessons from Milo, the first two sutras. Number one, do not go by public opinion. You will never be able to reach anywhere unless it's constructive and from the right people. Number two, understand what your capacity is, even if it's small, even if it's slow. Start from where you are with what you have and with what you can, and you will reach your destination. A couple of shout outs to those who are joining us this evening before we move on to the third, fourth, and fifth sutra for the 7 sutras to achieve mastery from the story of Milo of Croton from Italy, Europe. Sumelika lovers, thank you for joining us this evening. Riz Chatterjee, so happy that you are with us. Bhavika 8153, Monica Ranma, Sharad 39, and Vishal G 635, so happy. Lee Yu, Barsa Sahu, Aesthetic Abhay, Santosh, Vivek Sharma. Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. Janvi and Manoj Soni, Anik Tembare, I'm so grateful you've taken out your valuable time and have joined us for our Instagram live session this evening. Unique Soul, Vipul Jain, Digital Parvez, Tina Lahane, Bhavya, Puri Naredi. Thank you very much for joining. A couple of shout outs again after the next break in the story of Milo of Croton. So we've already heard the first two sutras. Here's the third one, guys. Milo definitely didn't pay attention to what people were saying and laughing and mocking. Milo definitely did things according to his capacity without looking at others, by taking the tiny calf on his shoulders. The third thing is very crucial and important as well. Not only did Milo pick up the calf, he did it every single day, everywhere he went. रोज जहां भी जाता था माइलो, अपने कंधे पे इस बछड़े को उठा के जाता था। हर जगह, हर रोज, 4 साल तक रोज माइलो इस बछड़े को उठाकर हर जगह घूमता रहता था। For 4 years continuously, Milo was carrying the calf on his shoulders and walking around the town, little tiny town of Croton. Now that's another and very important sutra for mastery, whether it's your workouts, whether it's your spiritual practices like meditation, your relationship, your academics, your business, your work, your personal health, your personal fitness, your mental health. It doesn't matter which area. The third sutra is consistency. every single day doing the same thing again and again, several times, brings you excellence, brings you mastery. Remember, guys, consistency is extremely crucial. Consistency in what you do is way more important than intensity of what you do. I repeat, consistency one going to the gym one day a week for 5 hours and working out, is that better, or going to the gym 5 days a week and working out for 20 to 30 minutes? If you consistently go 5 days a week, even if it's 30 minutes a day, is way better than going to the gym one day a week for 5 hours. What's better, guys? Tell me. Saving money at the end of the year, once in a year, after everything's done and kharcha pani and spending is done, or saving money every single month of your paycheck, even if it's a tiny amount. Consistently saving every month, हर महीने बचाना पैसा, is way better than after all your expenses are over in a year, then बचा कुचा बैंक में डाल दिया, invest कीजिए. Therefore, I always say, money says to us, save me today and I'll save you tomorrow. Right? Whether it's your spirituality, what's the point in just going for a retreat, a meditation retreat, or a yoga retreat for 10 days, or a silence retreat for 10 days a year, and then doing nothing through the year? What if you practiced silence, meditation, prayer, japa, yoga, whatever you do, for just 20 minutes a day, every single day? Consistency in what you do is way more important and powerful in transforming you than the intensity of what you do. If you read one book a month, right? If you just sit one day a month, like on a Sunday or a weekend, and you read that one book in like 5 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours non-stop in one sitting. What if you read 20 pages every single day? 20 पन्ने रोज के पढ़िएगा तो कम से कम 2 किताबें तो एक हफ्ते में पढ़ के जरूर हो जाएंगी. What about your relationships? It's your girlfriend's or your boyfriend's birthday, or your spouse's birthday, or your anniversary, or it's a particular occasion, and you bring an expensive gift, a Louis Vuitton purse or a iPhone 12 Pro Max. Guess what? That gift that you give, intensity of what you're doing, expensive gift. But you know what works incredibly well? If every single day you spend some time, you appreciate, you say, I love you, you say you're really looking fabulous, or you're doing great, or you're really fantastic, I love this quality of yours, I'm there for you. Consistency in what you do keeps you going more than the intensity of what you do. Because if you're doing whatever you do, like Milo took that calf, right? Milo took that calf on his shoulders, and it was within his capacity. But you know what? Start तो हम कर देते हैं जी. But जब पता लगता है ना कि goal hard है achieve करना, we fail. Like you go to the gym, you realize that transformation is hard. It's hard work. And then you fail multiple times. You give up multiple times. You know what keeps you going? Consistency and discipline. You may commit yourself to a goal, whatever the area is. But if you don't have discipline and consistency, we are not going to be able to reach where we want to reach. And therefore, lesson number 3, sutra number 3 to achieve mastery in any area of our life: consistent practice. Consistency will keep you going. Consistency in doing the small things is probably way more important than the intensity of what you do in the big thing once. Here's our 4th sutra for today, guys. A very important one indeed as well. So माइलो की 3 चीजें तो हम पता कर चुके हैं. लोग जो बोलेंगे ध्यान मत देना, unless वो आपके well wishers हो. दूसरा भी हमने सोच लिया था. अपनी कैपेसिटी को देखिए, अपने हिसाब से आगे बढ़िए, दूसरों के पास मत देखिए, क्योंकि आपकी जर्नी तो आपकी जर्नी है, आपका क्वेश्चन पेपर तो आपका क्वेश्चन पेपर है। तीसरी चीज, कंसिस्टेंसी से वही चीज रोज करते रहिए, तभी जाके उसमें मास्टरी मिलेगी। दैट इज व्हेन वी विल बी एबल टू गेन मास्टरी इन दैट एरिया, मास्टरी इन दैट स्पेस। द फोर्थ वन, very important and very crucial. You know what? You can keep going consistently to the gym and keep lifting like a dumbbell with 20, maybe 14, 15 kilos or 10 kilos of your bicep curls. Correct. There'll be a plateau. एक plateau आ जाएगा, एक limit आ जाएगा, जिसमें आपके muscles वो 15 किलो के डंबल्स को used to हो जाएंगे। और अगर आप उसी 15 किलो से करते रहेंगे तो आगे की ग्रोथ नहीं होगी। एंड देयरफॉर इट इज वेरी वेरी क्रूशियल दैट कंसिस्टेंसी इज इंपॉर्टेंट, बट अलोंग विथ कंसिस्टेंसी यू हैव टू कॉन्स्टेंटली कीप कमिंग आउट ऑफ योर कंफर्ट जोन। कंसिस्टेंसी आपको एक कंफर्ट जोन में ले जाके बैठा देगी कि अब ये नॉर्मल हो गया है, इतनी पढ़ाई करना, इतना स्किल सीखना, इतना वेट उठाना, इतना किसी से रिलेशनशिप में बोलना है, नॉर्मल है, कंफर्ट जोन में इतना तो मैं फोन करती हूं। लेकिन कंफर्ट जोन में आगे इंसान नहीं बढ़ता। कंफर्ट जोन इज लाइक ए सॉफ्ट कोजी बेड, वेरी इजी टू गेट इनटू, वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कम आउट ऑफ, राइट? And therefore, it's very, very important that we move out of the comfort zone by increasing our targets. Even if it is small, we need to make increments. If you're 15 kilos is what you've been lifting, go to the next level of 16, 17, whatever it is. But give progressive overload to whatever you're doing in life. In your spirituality, if you've mastered a yogasan or a pranayam or your meditation or jap to a certain extent for several minutes a day, increase 10 more minutes. Progressive overloading is very important. For Milo it was interesting because as Milo was growing, the calf was growing through. The calf was growing too. जैसे माइलो बड़ा हो रहा था, माइलो के साथ साथ वो बछड़ा भी बड़ा हो रहा था, वो एक बैल बन रहा था। The calf was slowly transforming into a massive, humongous, Herculean, heavy ox. And therefore for Milo, the progressive overload was there. उसके लिए वो वजन बढ़ता जा रहा था। दोस्तों, अगर आप अपने जीवन में आप प्रोग्रेसिव नहीं रहेंगे, अपना लोड और अपना टारगेट आगे नहीं बढ़ाएंगे, तो आपकी ग्रोथ होना पॉसिबल नहीं है। एंड हाउ मच कैन यू गो? समबडी वाज आस्किंग हाउ प्रोग्रेसिव कैन यू गो? यू ग्रो इन अ वे दैट यू मेक स्मॉल इंक्रीमेंट्स विदाउट गेटिंग इनटू पैनिक। If your growth and your load is going to make you panicky, that's not the right kind of load you're putting on yourself. When you're in the comfort zone, just increase a little bit so that you go to your stretch zone without going to the panic. Here's your comfort zone, here's your stretch zone, here is your panic zone. You're in the comfort zone, move to the stretch zone a little bit, come back to your comfort. Move to the stretch zone a little bit, come back to your comfort. Move to the stretch zone a little bit, come back to your comfort. And now your stretch zone will become your new comfort zone. Add another stretch zone. Move to the stretch, come back. Move to the stretch, come back. Move to the stretch, come back. Now this will become your new comfort zone. And something that was your panic, here was your comfort, here you would panic. Slowly yet steadily, progressively, you will reach there, ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls. And therefore Milo, for him, this calf was growing into an oxen. And therefore there was progressive overload. Also what Milo was doing is, Milo was moving the ox. Milo was moving the ox from one side to the other, taking the ox in different ways to develop different muscles. So you know what you need to do? Not just progressively increase your target for growth in whatever you do, but simultaneously, sometimes you may have to do different things. Or sometimes you may have to do the same things differently. दोस्तों, कई बार हमें अलग चीजें करनी पड़ती है और कभी कभी हमको वही चीजें करनी पड़ती है अलग तरीकों से। और तब जाके हम आगे बढ़ पाते हैं. And therefore the fourth thing from the story of Milo, which is a very important lesson as well, guys, is do not reach that plateau, do not reach that comfort zone, which we will पहुंचेंगे वहां. उसके आगे अपने आप को एक और लेवल ऊपर बढ़ाइए, भले कम क्यों ना हो, छोटा क्यों ना हो. It's all right. Even a little up there is challenging you. Unless you give yourself a new target, you're not going to make progress, because every new target is going to demand a new version of you, and that new version of you, working on that new version of you, is going to help you grow. Here is the fifth principle, the fifth sutra, the fifth mantra from Milo's story. But before we get there, a couple of shout outs to some of you who are joining us from different parts of the country. PV Reddy, thank you very much for joining us. Krishna Das, Hare Krishna. Arin Mishra, oh thank you. Parth Singh, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Sham, oh thank you guys. Pallav Karthik Raju, Dhananjay, Sunidhi Thakur, so delighted to have you with us this evening for our Instagram live sessions. The 7 sutras to achieve mastery in any area of our life. Stay tuned and hang on as we discuss the last 3 sutras, which will really bring us to where we want to see ourselves to be. Divi Sound, thank you very much. Arpit Ravindranath, hello and namaste to you. Siddhi Gaikwad, oh love from Maharashtra, love from Mumbai to you Siddhi, I am from Mumbai. Sakshi Sudan, thank you for joining. Please guys, type in the comments which parts of the country are you joining from, and I'd like to give a shout out based on where you're joining us from. Kiran, Shilpa, thank you very much for joining again. Harshil Panchal, very glad that you are with us as well. Thank you very much for staying with us for this session. Subhash, thank you. Love from Karnataka, thank you for joining us all the way from Karnataka. Aman Intoxicated all the way from Punjab. Yash from Haryana. Nikki from Melbourne, Australia. KV Varachia from Surat, Gujarat. Ash from Uttar Pradesh. Lahasya from Hyderabad. Shivanli from Aurangabad, Maharashtra. Pranav Rai from Nashik. Seema, thank you for joining. Nevil Khirkar from Yavatmal, Maharashtra. Aku from Goa. And Anu from Haryana. And Pinky from Gujarat. And Natha from Maharashtra. Thank you all very much for joining in such large numbers from different parts of the country. And here are now the last 3 lessons, or the last 3 sutras for how to achieve mastery in any area of life. Remember the first ones. Do not worry about what people say about you unless they are your well-wishers and giving constructive feedback. Number 2, know your capacity. Don't look at others. Start from where you are, with what you have, and with what you can do. Number 3, remember consistency is more important than intensity in anything you do to achieve excellence. Number 4, remember, we will always reach a plateau in our life, right? And therefore, if you want to come out of the comfort zone, we have to give progressive overload, newer targets, newer versions, newer things for us, so that we can grow and not remain just in that limbo, being satisfied with where we are. Here's the 5th lesson from the story of Milo of Croton. The 5th sutra is, always remember, progress, growth is never linear. It's never a straight graph. There are always ups and downs. You probably move a step ahead, but with 1 step ahead, you may end up moving 5 steps behind, or maybe 20 steps or 100 steps behind. And probably they take a giant leap. There are always going to be ups and downs in the journey of progress. Sometimes you may see that you're not reaching your goal. There's no results coming. Sometimes you may get injured. Sometimes you may get sick. Sometimes you may have another situation that come in your life. The corona pandemic may come and throw all of your plans that you had off the guard, down the drain. So many things keep changing, and therefore progress and the graph is never linear. And you know what? When you see that things are not going in a linear way, when you see that things are not going the way you want, the tendency is to lose enthusiasm. The tendency is to lose the hope. The tendency is to give up. And therefore, one thing that we must do, this is the fifth lesson, is doesn't matter even if you've gone back. Keep going ahead. Keep giving your 200%. Nobody's progress is linear. कई बार आगे बढ़ने के लिए कई लोग पीछे हटते हैं. नदी में जब हम तैरते हैं तो तैरते तैरते कई बार पानी के करंट से पीछे हट जाते हैं. When you're swimming against the current, if you're moving a foot ahead, the current is going to put you 10 feet ahead behind. Doesn't matter. Give double the energy to reach where you want to. Remember, guys, success doesn't come overnight. You have to patiently keep going without giving up. Rome was not built in a day. ऐसा तो आर्मी में कभी होता है नहीं ना कि आज भर्ती और कल चक्रवर्ती. भर्ती होने में और चक्रवर्ती होने में कई युद्ध लड़ने पड़ते हैं. So do not give up. Do not give up your hope. Do not give up your effort. Do not give up your determination and perseverance. Hang out with the right kind of people who boost your morale, who boost your confidence, who want you to go ahead. When you lose your hope, borrow it from somebody. When you lose your strength, borrow it from somebody. And guess what? One more thing to keep going without giving up is doing whatever you're doing with a purpose. With a purpose. Like Mark Twain said, there are two most important days in your life. First is the day when you were born, and second is the day when you figure out why. Somebody was telling me the story of this new movie Tufan recently. This movie on the Bollywood movie on the boxer Aziz Ali, right? That's what his name is, I suppose. He was telling me the story of how this guy from the slums area of Mumbai, right, Dharavi and that area, had this passion to be a boxer and ended up becoming a boxer. And then somehow or the other, he made some mistakes. He was banned from boxing. His wife died in a terrorist attack apparently. And guess what, guys? Finally, his coach, who happened to be his father-in-law as well, his last national level championship, he came to train him. And guess what, guys? He was older. The guy whom he was contesting against in the finals was much younger. The guy who was contesting had never lost a match. Younger, never lost a match. He was much better at his craft. And in the first couple of rounds, this young man was pounding him. आपकी भी लाइफ में ऐसा होता है ना, ऐसा तूफान आता है ना दोस्तों, कि आपको भी जीवन में जो भी करना चाहते हैं, घूसे पे घूसे लगते हैं, फेलियर पे फेलियर आती है. पिटते हैं हम लोग कई बार, नहीं? Get beaten down, right, by what's happening in life. The coach comes and utters in the ears of, that's what I was told, the coach comes and utters in the ears of this boxer Aziz Ali. I suppose the role is being played by Farhan Akhtar. Paresh Rawal, right, the coach, he comes and he utters in the ears of Aziz Ali, Farhan Akhtar, and he says one line, याद रखो वो मेडल के लिए खेल रहा है, तुम्हारी डेड वाइफ, आई थिंक हर नेम वाज अनन्या, तुम अनन्या के लिए खेलो. He's playing for the medals, the numbers, the recognition. You play for a relationship, the person whom you want to make, who you want that person should be proud of you. And therefore, as soon as your purpose changes, understand why you're doing what you're doing. You want to be successful, you want to grow in whatever area of your life, but why are you doing what you're doing? Who are you doing it for? What are you looking out of it? And if you're just looking for numbers, if you're just looking for medals, if you're just looking for recognition, if you're just looking for fame, trust me, the fire will die out, because punches will keep coming. But when you do it for a higher purpose, like this boxer did for his dead wife Ananya, you give 10 times more the energy, 10 times more your power, 10 times more your commitment to what you are doing. And it's that purpose that truly allows you to give your best and not to stop what you're doing. Otherwise, after a while, because the progress is not linear, you want to give up. And Aziz Ali did want to give up boxing. It was on the insistence of his wife, with that purpose for her who had departed from this world, that he kept going and he achieved mastery and victory. So yes, if you want to keep going, do two things. Keep the company of right people, and number two, have a purpose attached to what you do, is our fifth sutra. And ending with the last two. Before I end, I'm going to still try and call out a couple of your names as you wait for the last two sutras, the grand finale of today's session. But thank you again, guys. I'm so delighted to be with all of you. It's all of you who actually inspire me to do what I do. It's your support, your love, your kindness that really, really makes me inspired and invigorated to continue the journey that I've taken to help all of you. मैं आप सबका शुक्रगुजार हूँ, आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप इतना हमें सपोर्ट करते हैं और हमारे काम को पसंद करते हैं. यही मेरी प्रेरणा है. इसी से मेरा उत्साह बढ़ता है कि आपकी कुछ मैं सेवा कर सकूँ. A couple of shout outs again. Geetanshu, thank you for joining. Mirda Srishti from Jharkhand. Mohite 7226. Anna Sharma 9. Ruhina 09. Hare Krishna Vivek. Thank you for joining. Vikram Vajay. Very, very grateful. Vrishali. Very, very happy to have you with us. Ankit. Divya Musli. Thank you for joining. Harshad. Thank you for sending your love from Gujarat. Astha from UP, thank you for joining us again. Keshav, yeah, we need to find out the purpose of our life, and we'll definitely take a session on that as well. Manjesh, we need to control our anger indeed, and we need to work on how to deal with our anger, and probably some of the steps are also very important. Start slow, be consistent, and keep increasing the bar slowly and steadily, and we can reach where we want. Hiral, thank you for joining us from London, all the way from London. Priya, thank you for your love, and love to you as well. Najhat from West Bengal, very grateful that you are with us. Abhijit from Bihar, thank you for being with us this evening. The last two principles, the last two keys, the last two sutras for this evening as we end and wrap up our session with the summary of all the 7 sutras, all at a glance, all in one go. Milo, out of all the wonderful things that he did and he had, there's one very good thing that Milo had as well. And that was good mentors. Legend has it, and history tells us that Milo of Croton, one day he was walking around and there was a gentleman in the town, and there was a roof that was about to fall on the head of that gentleman. Milo was strong already by picking this bull and this ox. He went and he held the roof up there and did not allow it to fall on the head of this gentleman. Guess who this gentleman was? You may know him from geometry, but he wasn't just a mathematician, and he wasn't just expert in geometry. This gentleman was a philosopher, later known in the world of maths and geometry as well. His name, we all know his name, Pythagoras. So history tells us that because Milo saved Pythagoras from the roof falling over his head, Pythagoras acted as his mentor and his well-wisher. In fact, some people even say that Pythagoras got his daughter married to Milo. And you can well imagine how much guidance Milo must have gotten. The motivation, the inspiration, the energy, the morale, how Pythagoras probably boosted up Milo's morale. But not just his morale, but also gave him a direction to move on. Right? इसलिए मैं कई बार कहता हूँ कि अगर जीवन की दशा बदलनी है तो पहले अपने विचारों की दिशा बदलनी पड़ती है. किसी भी अपने रिश्तों की दशा बदलनी है, अपने एकेडमिक्स की दशा बदलनी है, अपने बिजनेस, अपने जॉब की दशा बदलनी है, अपने स्पिरिचुअलिटी, अपने अध्यात्म की दशा बदलनी है, अपने पर्सनल फिटनेस की वजह दशा बदलनी है. वो दशा तब बदलेगी जब विचारों की दिशा बदलेगी. और वो दिशा बदलने के लिए हमें लगते हैं गुरु, मेंटर्स, गाइड्स, वेल विशर्स, जिनके पास बहुत अनुभव है, एक्सपीरियंस है, और उनकी सलाह से, उनकी एडवाइस से हम आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjun was confused, but he had a mentor, Shri Krishna, who not only gave direction to the chariot of Arjuna, but gave him a direction to work in terms of his thoughts, his values, his principles, his ethics. He gave them a purpose to fight. It wasn't just fighting, it was fighting with a purpose to establish righteousness and to bring the resources and power from the wrong hands to the right hands. So the sixth principle, guys, is always have good mentors. क्योंकि जब तक जिंदगी की दिशा, जब तक विचारों की दिशा नहीं बदलेगी, तब तक जिंदगी में किसी भी चीज की दशा नहीं बदल सकती. And here is the last but not the least principle, 7 sutras to master any area of our life. Last one for today. Milo, as all of us, will one day grow older. We are not going to be the same all through our lives. What we can do now, a couple of decades down the line, we probably are not going to be able to do the same thing. For the simple reason that we have a system, a body, a mind, which is another machine. And just like every machine has wear and tear, this machine has wear and tear as well. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, dear friends, दोस्तों, ये जानना कि एक समय ऐसा आता है जब हम irrelevant हो जाते हैं और उसको स्वीकार करना, एक्सेप्ट करना कि और लोग आएंगे और आगे बढ़ेंगे. आसमान में कोई भी हमेशा सितारा बना नहीं रहता. आज कोई सितारा बन के चमकता है, कल को वो पुराना हो जाता है, दूसरे सितारे आते हैं और all these stars shine in the sky, and that's fine. To come to terms with that is great. To think that we will be evergreen and the shining star like the pole star. Nobody has been the pole star ever. Our example can be a pole star. Our legacy can be a pole star. But this body and what we do with this body cannot be a pole star, guys. Going to be there for a while, and there'll be other stars who will start shining. You know what Milo did? Once he was alone in the forest, very old man, and he saw the trunk of a tree, and the trunk of a tree had a crack in it. And Milo wanted to still do what he did in his younger days. He wanted to see if he could put his fist inside that crack in the trunk and crack the trunk in one go into 2 pieces. He put his hand, not knowing that he's old and he can't do that now. He put his hand inside. The hand got stuck. It wouldn't come out. He wouldn't be able to do it for sure. And such a strong man, in his youth, if he would just move his hand with his strength, he could crack the trunk. But today he couldn't. His hand got struck. And guess what? He was alone in the forest. Stuck. He couldn't move out. Hungry, thirsty, no food, no water. Wild animals like wolves and tigers came and ate the flesh of Milo away. What a pathetic and sad death. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, dear friends, our last lesson for today is this. After a while, we have to understand we have achieved a certain milestones in our life. After a while, we have to know what our boundaries are. With changing situations, with changing age, with changing abilities, with changing surroundings, we will have newer boundaries and we will have to change from moving from where we were increasing earlier, probably to decreasing a little bit, letting go of a little bit in a way that you can sustainably go on in our lives. And therefore, arrogance, overconfidence, and stupidity without any proper deliberation can take all what we have built and destroy it and throw it down the drain, as it happened with Milo of Croton. And therefore, last but not the least, the 7th principle is let's not give in to arrogance. Let's understand our capacities once things start trailing off and do things based on what our capacity is at that point in time, and not make stupid mistakes despite having great mentors like Pythagoras. So here were the 7 sutras, the 7 principles which we heard this evening for success. Number 1, like Milo, like Milo, give a deaf ear to people who make comments, mock you, laugh at you because of doing things differently, unless it's constructive coming from well wishers who mean well for you. Number 2, know where you are, what you have, what you can do, your capacity, without looking at others, and though small and slow, move towards your destination. Number 3, be consistent. Do that thing every single day. Consistency, doing things on a daily basis, is way more powerful and important than intensity of what you do. Remember number 4, progressive overload. Increasing your target, giving yourself a new target is important. Otherwise, you will reach a plateau and a comfort zone. When you give yourself a little higher target, the stretch zone, not panic, you know that you're required to get a newer version of yourself which will allow you to grow further. Number 5, remember, the progress is not linear. It's not a straight line. Step back, you go ahead, step back, fall down, up and down will happen. Life is such. In such a scenario, make sure you have the right people to boost your morale, to keep you going, and make sure that you have purpose. Answer that question. Why are you doing what you are doing? Number 6, have good mentors who will guide you, give direction to what you're doing. जिंदगी की दशा बदलनी है तो दिशा बदलना बहुत जरूरी होता है. Or last, let us understand that we are not going to be a pole star. We can leave a legacy like a pole star. We leave a good name like a pole star. That will remain. But we, in this physical manifestation and what we could do back in the day, can never remain. So let's not make stupid mistakes of trying to do the same thing and be a mockery in the eyes of the world, right? And becoming irrelevant. Let's, in a very dignified way, understand how much we can do that, and still be respected, accepted, admired, adored, and loved by people. So these are the 7 sutras to achieve mastery in any area of your life. A couple of last shout outs for all of you who are joining us currently and stayed us all through. We had about 11.5 thousand people joining us. We're now about 7,000 odd people, but all through we had about 9.5, 10,000 people. So grateful that all of you joined us in so many numbers. So many people are coming us and joining us to listen to this wisdom, spread this wisdom, share this with others, apply it in your life, and let us make this world a better place, a purpose-driven place where we can find happiness, fulfillment, joy, growth, and we are able to contribute to the lives of people in this world. Last shout outs, KK Patel, thank you for joining. Ragini, thank you so much. Vag Jyoti, very happy to see you here. Shruti Padki, thank you. Struck Down, thank you for joining us. Lab, thank you. RB Chaudhary, very, very grateful that you are here. Tripti Kanodia, thank you very much. I'm going to take somebody up. We have 5 minutes. If somebody wants to join us in the, thank you, Krutika. Very happy to have you for the live session. Thank you for joining. Yes, I'm going to take one of your requests and see if we can have somebody coming up with us. Okay, requests. We will take Khushbu and see if she wants to join us for a quick. I've sent a request to her and see if she can join us for a couple of minutes. Okay, here we have Khushbu is here. Namaste.
Yes.
Your internet is a little weak, and if you want to come, I say yes, Khushbu. Brilliant. Good to see you.
How are you doing?
I'm good, and how are you? Where are you from?
I'm from Hyderabad.
Are you from Hyderabad, and what do you do, Khushbu?
I am currently pursuing my finance CFA, preparing for my finance degree.
Brilliant, brilliant, fantastic. Wishing you all the best. And you sent a request. Is there something do you want to ask? You sent a request there.
I just wanted to ask one question
Sure.
that how to deal with negativity, like you're like you being you post your content every day, so every person, whoever, like I'm also a content creator, I post content on personality development and experiences that I face through every day. So many a times when we post, there are people who agree with you, there are people who don't agree with you at times.
Correct.
And sometimes you feel that after taking all the feedbacks, you can say, or after taking all the criticisms, you be like, okay, this thing is not working for me, this thing is working for me, and you analyze yourself and understand that, okay, whatever is going to work for me, that's the thing that I'm going to apply for myself. But there
Correct.
are people who, who keep criticizing your work, or who keep saying that, okay, this is wrong, this you have to do this.
Sure.
And when we explain it, we like, okay, you're being very offensive about if I give you any feedback, you're being very offensive. So how to deal with these kind of situations? So
Negative comments and negative feedback, right? Yeah. Thank you for that question again. But uh, you have to know one thing, Khushbu, that whenever you're trying to do something, I kind of referred to that in the beginning, that people are going to give comments and say something, you do things this way or that way. Correct? Now,
yes,
if you're
yes,
going to be a
exactly.
people pleaser, if you're going to be a people pleaser, and if you're going to go by what people
Yes,
want, there's a group of people who want it this way, there's a group of people who want it that way. What are you going to do? Right? Number two, if you're going to be a
right,
people pleaser, right? Everyday people's taste changes. Correct? So are you going to change what you're
absolutely,
going to do every single day? Today they want fashion, so you become a fashion content creator. Tomorrow they want motivation, so you become a motivation content creator. Day after tomorrow they want to be tech savvy, so
yes,
you become a tech savvy technology content creator. Correct? So if you're just going to keep changing, you are losing yourself
extremely,
in being a people pleaser. Correct? It's very, very important to identify what is it that you want to offer. It's very important to identify what is your USP, what is your specialty, what do you specialize
right,
in. Otherwise, it's like, okay,
right,
the market's changing on this platform. The market's different. This is what people want. So keep changing. And you will see that you can't grow because you're not giving out your USP. When
right,
you do
absolutely,
something consistently doing the same thing, initially you may say that it may not work. But if
right,
it's your forte, if it's your forte and you gain excellence in it, that is what people want to see, not like a person who's
absolutely,
changing every 2 days and is a mediocre person. Right. Nobody wants to see a mediocrity
right,
in what they are receiving. They want to see excellence. And you can't
exactly,
get excellence by changing things constantly. You know what I mean? So don't worry about what people
yes,
say and
definitely,
what people comment on. They're going to say what they say. Don't worry. Right? Of course, be very
right,
cautious and careful to receive constructive feedback if there is any. You should always be open for that.
correct, correct.
But otherwise, gossip and callous feedback, it's always going to be there. Don't worry.
Always
Yeah.
going to be there. And also,
Thank
many
you.
people say
Thank you.
that, if other person is being um, if other person is being very angry upon you, you should be very cautious and you should be very calm and composed in that situation, so that the other person gets cooled down. So but
Correct.
many a times what happens is
Uh,
that
uh, yeah, you're stuck.
so
The
many
internet's
a time
stuck.
what it happens is that, when you're being cool and composed in that situation, the other person have the advantage, it takes on the advantage of you being silent. So
Yeah, I think, Khushbu, one very important thing is that no one thing works for every person and no one thing is works in every situation. Right? Like with some people, being calm and composed may change things. They may get the
right,
message. But people who are hardwired, and if you're calm and composed and they're constantly abusive to you,
right,
how is being calm and composed going to work? Correct? So
exactly,
your
yeah.
mind is precious property. You can't allow them to abuse you. Right. So in which case, you have to see how to deal with it differently than their anger. Whether it's through communication, whether it's to moving out of that situation, whatever it may be. So in certain cases, being calm and composed may work, and in certain cases, it may not. So we
It
have to
may
see
not.
what works in that particular situation and for that particular person. Yeah. Thank you all very
Absolutely.
much once again. We're just about ending in
Thank you
time.
for joining.
Thank you,
Thank
Kushbu.
you for
Thank you
letting
very
me
much.
join.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very much, ladies and gentlemen, friends, for joining us this evening for this Instagram session. This will be posted on IGTV, so do share with your friends. Do look at it again and note down the 7 points. Try to apply it in your life, and I'm sure
Thank you for
these will
such an
help you
amazing
in your
session.
life. Thank you very much. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you.